I'm Sarah Archer, Recycling Coordinator for RRRASOC. I'm here today to talk with you about what to keep out of your recycling bin. In a previous episode, we talked about the things you can recycle, and we all want to do the right thing and put the proper materials there, but sometimes we're just not sure, and so we'll throw it in anyway. It's really important for us at the facility that you only recycle what we really want. And so I'm going to talk with you today about those items we find that really shouldn't belong in your cart. First, let's talk about paper. There's not a whole lot of paper products that we don't want to see in the recycling carts, but what we do find are the more disposable types of paper. So items like paper plates, even clean ones, or your disposable napkins, paper toweling and tissue, these all belong in your waste bin, not in your recycling cart. Also, a lot of folks are shredding at home and will put their shredded paper in a plastic bag or even a paper bag. When these shredded papers come to our facility, boy, it's like confetti all over the place. So really, these should just go right into your trash. We do have a new paper shredder here available at RRRASOC, so you can bring the paper here and that material will actually be recycled. So check that out. Next, I'd like to talk with you about the plastics that we see that really don't belong in your cart. So what do we do with all of these different types of plastic or paper? What are these even? Are they foil? They're shiny inside. These really don't belong. They're not any of these. These are a multi-layer product. So there's all kinds of different things in here, and none of it is recyclable in our program. So these types of containers that are kind of crunchy, what I call the crunchy wrappers, they just belong right in your trash. Now, I think you've probably all gotten the message about your plastic bags, and those belong in the grocery store recycling. And same with these other types of plastic bags that we still find coming through. So this is an apple bag, bread bags, any Ziploc type bags, even the produce bags. They're very similar in makeup to the grocery bags that you can return, and actually many of our grocery store retailers are now accepting these also as part of their recycling take back. So while they are recyclable at your retail stores, they aren't something we want in our carts because they really get caught up and tangled up in our equipment. Something else that's a plastic that we don't want in our bins are the styrofoam or polystyrene foam containers. So any of these are actually not acceptable and should go into your trash cart. Oh, isn't he cute? He's plastic, but we don't want him in your recycling cart. All of these plastic toys and things sometimes have batteries. Sometimes they have multiple other types of products that are built into it. So like this has some metals and things like that. All those other mixed items that are a part of this little guy make it not recyclable. So again, better idea would be to donate it to like a Salvation Army or a thrift store. Otherwise, poor little guy will have to go into your trash bin. What about these tube type things? They're plastic, but again, our facility is not designed to accept these types of materials, so these tubes go into your trash. Oh, remember we talked about disposable paper items? Well, your disposable cutlery, same thing. They are just meant for one-time use and end up just kind of jamming into our equipment. So these items would also end up in your recycling trash cart. And oh my goodness, mailers and bubble wrap. Definitely, it's cool to hear them pop, but we sure don't want them in our recycling cart. So make sure that those go into your trash cart instead. Hey, what about this box? You said paper's recyclable. Well, it sure is, as long as it's flattened and broken down, and here's the trick. You have to remove the inner lining. If you leave the inner lining together with the box, then that makes it non-recyclable. So be sure to remove the bag, put this in your trash, flatten your box, and put that in your recycling bin. Here's one that's really confusing, even for me. So we talk about items that are different, have different materials together. This has got metal on the bottom, paper on the outside, and a plastic lid. How confusing is that? Well, because of the different types of materials all combined into one product, we're not able to recycle this. So This item I think it makes a great reuse container. I would use it to collect some things that I might be saving up for the household hazardous waste event, like batteries, but otherwise it would just have to go into your trash can. Oh, and I think I told you before that we're now accepting paper cups, but make sure you take the lids and the straws and put those in your trash can. Straws, we see a lot of those come across the line. They just get jammed up and fall through, and they're not recyclable anyway. So into the trash they go. What about metals? The metal hangers, we definitely don't want those coming through the line. Again, these will jam up our line so fast, and they really do a lot of damage. So please, you can return these to your dry cleaners, or they can go to a scrap metal dealer if you've got a lot of them. Otherwise, these just can go right into your trash cart. And speaking of metals, I don't know about you, but my junk drawer is filled with all kinds of little odd and end metal screws, keys, curtain rod tops, and they're all metal and I want to be recycled, but they really don't belong in your bin. These are too small and are going to fall through on the mechanized equipment at our facility. So unfortunately, all these little pieces, they'll have to just go in your trash and not into your recycling cart. Something that's especially important to keep out of your recycling cart, and mainly because of the hazards that they cause, are batteries. Batteries can ignite in our facility and cause a fire, especially those that are rechargeable and contain lithium. And so please make sure that these do not end up in your recycling cart. Choose to take these to one of our hazardous waste days instead. Okay, let me show you one last thing that we want you to keep out of the bin. This is, again, these are things we see every day that come across on our recycling facility. So you may have heard the word tanglers before. Well, tanglers are really a problem because we have a lot of equipment that's conveyor belts and drums that turn. And so those drums, just like your vacuum cleaner, if it catches something on your rug and it just brings it to a screeching halt, right? If it gets all wrapped around, the same thing happens in our facility. So let me show you our biggest culprits that we see. The garden hose, something we really want you to keep out. But it's plastic, I hear. It is plastic, but it's certainly not a plastic that we accept for recycling in our program. The other would be cords. So whether they're Christmas lights or an unwanted or a no longer functioning electrical device, please keep your cords out of the recycling cart. Again, electronics can be saved and taken to one of our household hazardous waste collection days. So those are just a few of the items that we see that come across at our facility, things that we really want you to keep out of our bins. Also, if you have any questions, be sure to check our website, RRRASOC.org. We have a great tool called the Recycling Directory. You can type in any item and it'll give you the best way to handle it at your home. Hey, let's have a refresher on what you can put in your recycling cart. We're going to talk today about plastics. Plastics can be pretty confusing because there's just so many different numbers of plastics. So let's start with plastics number one. Plastics number one typically are going to be your see-through clear plastics. You can see that most of the containers have some type of a symbol on them, a triangle with the number one in it. They also have a name, maybe PET or PET, the letters on there as well that indicate it's an acceptable plastic. This is one of the most highly recycled plastics at the curb, so keep it up and recycle these number one types of plastics. On to type of number two plastics. These are going to be your milk jugs and your laundry detergent bottles, anything that comes typically in a more hard colored or like orange laundry detergent bottle. Those types of plastics are the number twos. Again, just check the container. You'll see the number two inside of a recycling symbol with the letters sometimes of HDPE. Number threes and number four plastics aren't very common, and so you probably won't find those too much. But number 5s are becoming more and more popularly used in packaging. And so you'll see your yogurt containers, your carry-out deli containers, and even some of your frozen food containers are number 5 plastics. So those number 5 plastics are going to be marked again with the recycling symbol and the number 5, and look for the letters PP. Again, not too common, but sometimes you'll see these clamshell, what we call a clamshell container, marked as a number 6. Number 6s can be a little bit confusing because number 6 as a container like this is acceptable. But number 6 are also the polystyrene foam, what we kind of call styrofoam, and we don't want that in our recycling. So again, check the numbers on the bottoms of your plastic containers. If you see the recycling symbol with the letter or the number inside of it, numbers 1 through 6, we are taking those into the recycling program. Also, I forgot to tell you the letters that you'll find with the number 6, and that's a PS for polystyrene. So let's talk about paper. So paper is the most prevalent material that you probably have at your house, even though you really don't realize it. And unfortunately, paper is what fills up most of our landfills. 40% of what goes into the landfill that goes to waste is paper. So if we just focused on recycling paper, we would be doing a great thing for the planet. So let's look at some of the types of paper that are acceptable here at our facility in Southfield. So from your bathroom, those toilet paper rolls, yes, they are recyclable. You can take them. I'm going to show you something that you'll probably notice as I'm showing you these materials. Everything is flat. And that is because at our facility, it's designed for the materials to go through flat. So I always like to make sure to break things down, just like when we talked about cardboard, breaking your boxes down, your bigger ones, you're going to want to do that with your smaller boxes as well. So your board boxes, which is what we call these types of boxes, are all acceptable. Your junk mail, and also any magazines or newspapers that you might have also can be accepted. Even your paper bags from your fast food carry-out places, make sure the food is out and just give it a flattening and stick it right into your bin. Something that I want to show you too, a lot of people ask me when I'm doing presentations about, what about that plastic that's inside of my Kleenex box? Is that going to matter if it goes through that way? It's okay if you leave it in there. It does end up being trash at the paper facility, recycling facility. But so if you're like me and a real recycling nerd, you can actually pull that out, and it saves it going to the trash at the plant that's taking and making new paper boxes. Otherwise, you can leave it in there. It's not going to hurt it, the process. But I'm such a nerd, I take it out and throw it in the trash. And of course, flatten it. Something else that a lot of folks don't realize is that these new types of shelf-stable containers that are soups and even some of our juice cartons are made out of are highly recyclable. So those are acceptable to put into your recycling carts as well. And brand spanking new to our program is paper cups. So you can recycle your paper cups now. Be sure to throw the lid and the straw in the trash, and go ahead. You can flatten that down and put it right in your bin with the rest of the paper. So while I've got your attention, let's talk a little bit about metals. Metals are pretty basic and pretty easy to understand, but just as a reminder, we do accept aluminum foil pans as well as your cans. There's no need to flatten them or remove the labels. A little trick I like to make sure that my lid even gets captured at the facility is to just put it right down inside of the can. You can see it's going to stay put, and when that big magnet goes to grab it, it's going to the lid will travel right with the can inside. So that's what we want to have you put into your recycling. Of course, glass too, pretty simple. If you have any questions, you can always visit our website at RRRASOC.org. We've got a great tool there called the Recycling Directory. You can type in any item, and it'll also help you find the best option for how to get rid of it. So thanks for listening today. We'll see you next time.